All right, Shalom. So before I get going, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise to the Heavenly Father in the name of His Son, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Wahai Kodash Wakah. All right, double honors to the elders over at the Great Millstone who rule well. Also, Shalom to all the elders of the Israelite nation who rule well, and are following and practicing the true doctrine of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. All right, Shalom Wabarakim to the hopeful elect men of the Israelite nation, teaching His truth in the four corners of this earth, where we have been scattered, and also Shalom to the rest of the 1/3 of the Israelite nation, that being the men, women, and children therein, that have forsaken the world and have come back to their true heritage. All right, true heritage being the words of this book, which is called the Bible. All right, Shalom to you. So before I get going, this message is specifically to you so-called Negroes, so-called Latinos, and so-called Native American Indian people scattered abroad. All right. We say so-called because that's not truly who you are. Those are all bywords. In fact, you are in fact truly the Israelites. All right. The Israelites that this book speaks of, this book was written by, and ultimately, who the message of this book is to. That's what this book is for. It's ultimately your history. This book is your heritage. It's specifically a book that it tell you about your heritage, teach you the ways of yourself, who you should be, being an Israelite, that is. All right. And ultimately it's a book of instruction. The book of instruction that teaches you the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Heavenly Father, teach you how to go about life, teach you what you need to eat, and ultimately how to obtain or ultimately reap the benefits at the highest level of actually being an Israelite. Those of you who are Israelites, that's what this book is made for. It's made for you. All right. So with no further ado, we will get into the lesson. And this lesson is just ultimately just going into the understanding that, the work that's put out, the men you see out hitting the highways, on the highway corners, teaching this truth, doing these lessons, this is the work is aimed towards the elect. All right. The elect, the whole 1/3, that would be, but more importantly and mainly the men, the elect men, the 144,000, men of the Israelite nation who are going to go on to receive position, governing the world that is to come. Those are the men that are going to be in position to teach the nation, in position to keep everything afloat and ultimately spread the word and make sure everybody else is in line. Those people are going to go home and they're going to teach, their people around them. They're going to go home and teach their children. They're going to teach their wives. So ultimately it starts at the house of David, which are the elect men of the Israelite nation who are going to, make it through, the destruction that's written to happen here on this earth and ultimately here in America. But they're going to go on to teach the nation and uphold the nation and carry forth, the Lord's will. All right. And that's what these works for. That's who we are on the highways trying to seal, trying to bring back these men, to their true heritage, so we can ultimately get to where we're trying to get to, and that is the kingdom. All right. And as you can see, I got the you might realize it from the Matrix. You might call it the Matrix graphic or whatever. I have this here because for the lesson, it's just going to represent the understanding of this book, the understanding of the scriptures, and also the want to understand, those who are going to have endurance and the ability to lock in and actually manifest this book, meaning make this book real. It's a book that is full of prophecies, and a lot of things have happened already, but ultimately, at this point, we have to take this book and fulfill it, so make it real. Understand the power that is within, understand how to yield this thing and put it to use in our daily lives so we can ultimately see real life, when the Lord comes back. All right. And again, that's the whole point, like I said, of this, because inside the movie, if you've seen The Matrix, when you see the screen for the first time, it's just a bunch of numbers and letters dropping, if you will. And that's ultimately how the world sees this book. It's just a bunch of, it's a book full of words, no pictures, you know what I'm saying? A bunch of stories, parables, it's allegories, all types of you know, understanding that, most people when they read it, this is all they see. They specifically just see the numbers and the page numbers and the chapters and the words. But those that have elect, when they see this, they're able to look inside of it, right? They're able to look inside of it and they're able to see what's truly going on. Because in the movie, ultimately, when you seen this screen, you leave the world and you come into the reality, where Morpheus and Trinity, and the whole team stayed at. They were working on computers, and this is what you see at first. But then further on in the movie, it's revealed that when you're actually looking at this, pretty much is a movie going on inside of it. It's action. It's life. It's really just not letters. It's to some, it's a code. To those who don't have eyes, those who don't understand, those of the 2/3, ultimately, for the lesson. Those people are not going to understand it. So when they see the Bible, that's what they see. They just see a bunch of letters and words, and it's inconceivable to them, But the elect men of these scriptures, when they see this, they're actually going to be able to like peep, they're going to be like, oh, dang, it's something going on there. They see the slave ships, you see that in the scriptures. You're able to translate that. You see Joshua taking Jericho, you can see Yahushua coming back in the clouds and these visions. You can understand what a cloud is. You get what I'm saying? All of these things are what's actually going on. So when I look through here, I look and I'm like, oh wow, that's Daniel. That's Daniel having a vision. That's Daniel having a dream. Oh, that's what the foreheads were. You get what I'm saying? That's the understanding of the scriptures. Everybody's not going to be able to get this. So sometimes you go run into people and they're gonna see this when you're bringing this out. You'll be going through these words and it's gonna be just a bunch of words. You can show them that the slave ships are inside the Bible, Deuteronomy 28:68, and all that. They still go just see. They just go see words. It's not gonna click to them. But those elect men, when they hear those words and they see all of these things and they relate in their life to it, they like, oh wow, I can see. Is that clear? This book talking to me. This book about me. All right, so these are some of the characteristics that you will see of the elect men, and that's who this is for. Those who can take this code and they actually can see through it and actually see the life within it. They can see themselves within the book. You see Moses. I'm looking right now. I'm seeing Moses, parting the sea and letting the Israelites ride through. Going to Pharaoh saying, "Let my people go." You know what I'm saying? Etc. There's so many stories you can go into. But ultimately, that's the idea of this lesson, and the idea of this visual here is just to show that everybody's not going to be able to get this. So with that said, we'll hop into some scriptures. All right, so we go start here. We go start at St. John. St. John chapter 10. All right, and I'm going to start at verse 14. And it reads, I am the good shepherd. And before I get going into it, the words are read here. So that is implying that Yahushua, the Lord, is speaking. Yahushua being who the world eagerly calls Jesus Christ. It says, I am the good shepherd and know my sheep and am known of mine. So Yahushua is saying he's a shepherd. What does a shepherd do? A shepherd tends to the sheep. They herd the sheep. They make sure the sheep stay together. They keep count, take them to get fed, keep them away from danger, so on and so forth. Because sheeps, they reside in herds, and they stick together. And they ultimately follow the shepherd. So Yahushua says, I am the good shepherd, meaning he's our leader. He's our head. He is who we look up to for guidance, for direction, to be fed, to eat, and know my sheep. I am the good shepherd and know my sheep. So Yahushua knows his sheep. He says my sheep, not all sheep, my sheep, and am known of mine. So his sheep know who he is. All right. So we can go to John 1:1, but I'll just paraphrase it. We'll just say it. Yahweh Shai is the word. And these words that we're reading, they're Yahweh Shai. These words are literally Yahweh Shai. And that's what we follows. So he says, I am known of mine. So him being known of his is the people, the men, women and children of the Israelite nation, who when they see this, they understand Yahweh Shai, and they understand follow, and they also do so, and they actually can see what's going on here. It's just not letters. It's just not numbers dropping, That's not what's going on. It's direction, and it needs to be followed, and that is something that would imply that you are of the elect. You know what I'm saying? You're part of the 1/3. I am the good shepherd, and my sheep know me and am known of mine, because those sheep are going to know, you know what I'm saying? They're going to know. And just to, put that point through, we go to Matthew chapter 15 and 24, just to make the link between the sheep parable, because the Israelites, that were once, scattered abroad and lost, they're likened unto sheep, and that's why Yahweh Shai saying the sheep, he know his sheep. He's the good shepherd. This is Matthew chapter 15, verse 24. But he answered, speaking of Yahweh Shai, he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So Yahweh Shai, he had a specific job or journey as he was here on the earth. He was only sent to gather, the lost sheep of the house of Israel. That's who he was sent to. So to be a sheep of Yahweh Shai's, for one, you must be of the house of Israel. And also you must be one of his sheep, one of his elect, simply put. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Those sheep talking about, ultimately he's talking about men. All right. Again, John chapter 10 and 14, I am the good shepherd. Shepherds herd sheep and know my sheep, his sheep, and am known of mine, because his sheep are going to know exactly who he is. And again, he's the word. So these words that we're reading, we understand that they're Yahweh Shai, you know what I'm saying? Because we're his sheep, Lord willing. I'm saying it that way, but that's how this whole thing works. So this is St. John chapter 10, and we're going to hop up to verse 27, very important here. It says, my sheep hear my voice, right? My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. So that's the direction. The sheep know his voice. So at one point you were inside the world, all right? You were in the world and you were just living a normal life. You was probably doing just regular Jake things, hustling, at the club or whatever, you know what I'm saying? You left the club, whatever. You was out shopping one day, you walked down the street and you probably ran into a brother, however it might have been, because, there's millions of ways to get this word, man. We got brothers all over the world. However you got the word, it came to you and you heard those words. And then ultimately, this was presented to you. That's what these words are, It was just words, but then you heard them and you start seeing within them, you start realizing and understanding, oh, this is speaking to me. This is what I need to be doing. This is what I've been missing, This whole puzzle, it wasn't numbers anymore. You actually got to see, the story going on. You got to see Yahweh Shai saying, my sheep follow me. You're like, oh, I'm a sheep, These were never like letters dropping. It was a whole story going on, My sheep hear my voice and I know them and they follow me. So you got the word and you followed this word, these words, These words became real. They start making sense. The pages start opening up. It's the same thing. The scripture is the same thing as that Matrix graphic, because everybody, the whole point is everybody can read these words, but that don't mean they're understanding them. That don't mean they know what's going on. So we're going to hop to Matthew chapter 13, and we're going to start at verse 9. And it just says, who hath ears to hear, let him hear. So you're only going to hear Yahweh Shai speaking or understanding his words if you have ears to hear. And hearing isn't just hearing my voice out loud. Hearing is understanding. It goes into understand. So like it goes into understanding. Verse 10 says, and the disciples came, disciples being the students of Yahushua, and said unto him, why speakest thou unto them in parables? So they was like, just to give some context to what's going on, Yahushua is speaking to a group of Israelites. And he just said in verse 9, who hath ears to hear, let him hear. So he spoke to them in parables. And, some people could perceive it, and most people couldn't. So verse 10 will be the disciples asking him, why does he speak to them in parables? And the disciples came and said unto him, why speakest thou unto them in parables? Yahushua answered, here in 11, he answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. You see, but to them it is not given. Why? Because they're not his sheep, because they can't hear his voice. When they see the code, it's just letters and numbers to them just dropping. But when you hear it, it's clear, it's manifest, it's open, you understand, you actually see what's going on. It says, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given, because they're never going to get it. They're not part of the elect. They're probably part of the 2/3. They're going to be destroyed here on this earth. And they're not going to get it. It's just that simple. They're not one of his sheep. He said, my sheep hear my voice and they follow me. You see? So if you're not one of his sheep, you're not going to hear his voice, nor are you going to follow him. You're not going to hear and understand, ultimately. So verse 12, it says, for whosoever hath, to him shall be given, right? And he shall have more abundance, because you have those ears to hear. Whoever hath, more is going to be given into you. Because you're going to be given. How are you going to be given? Because you're going to understand when you hear. It says, but whosoever hath not, all right, him shall be taken away, even that he hath. So those, when this word come out and they can't receive it, they can't get it, they looking at it, they just see the pattern. They're like, oh, dang, that's just a bunch of numbers dropping. They don't see the story within. They don't see this as Yahushua speaking specifically to you and how serious this is, ultimately they're going to get their life taken away. He says, from him shall be taken away, even that he hath. And ultimately you don't have anything. So ultimately there's going to be a life. It's going to be taken away from you. Matthew chapter 13 and 13, it says, therefore speak I to them in parable. Because this is his reasoning. He said, therefore I speak to them in parables. Because seeing they see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. Because this could be right in front of you. These scriptures are right in front of your face. Brother can break them down to you. You know what I'm saying? Brother, a learned brother can break them down to you. But seeing they see not, they just see numbers. They don't see the life that's within them. They don't see the importance of this knowledge. They don't understand the importance of obtaining, applying yourselves. They just seeing numbers. They just like, oh, dang. But when the elect men see this thing, they look inside. They like, oh, they looking past it. They like, oh, dang, the nukes, they about to come. I got to get it together. You see everything happening. The whole world opens up to you, The vision of all has been coming to you as a book that is sealed, That's paraphrasing the scripture in Isaiah, I believe 29 and 11. But that vision has to be, for one, it has to be given to you. Then ultimately, you got to be one of the Lord's sheep. It's just that simple. Therefore, I speak to them in parables, because they seeing, see not. So they're not going to understand it. They're not going to be able to actually see. They might see the screen, but they don't actually see what's going on within. And hearing, they hear not. Neither do they understand. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, because this is a book of prophecy. Isaiah was a prophet of the Old Testament. You know what I'm saying? The Old Testament books of the scriptures. You see, because he's seen. When Isaiah seen this and the Lord came speaking to Isaiah, he spoke words. And he was like, oh, wow. When Isaiah seen this screen, he was like, oh, Lord, you know what I'm saying? He got on his stuff. He followed and did what the Lord told him to do. He walked in the law, statutes, and judgments of the Lord. The Lord spoke to him, he understood, and he followed through, because he understood the language. It wasn't just words coming to him. It was clarity. Again, when I see this pattern, I don't see the numbers dropping. I see the story. I see the warnings, the lessons, whatever it may be that you need to do, the exhortation, the love that's within the words. It's not just letters dropping. It's a whole story. It's your whole history. I see the history of the Israelites. You see the come up. You see the falling down of the kingdom. And also you see the prophecy, everything that's to come and everything that's promised to you. And that's what you should be able to see. Those of you are the elect. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, which saith, by hearing ye shall hear and shall not understand. And seeing ye shall see and ye shall not perceive. You can't really perceive what's going on. It's just a book of words to you. It's the book of words. It's a fairy tale. That's why most people of the Israelite nation they got this book. For one, they was taught it upside down this way. They got the book upside down, plantation Christianity, Catholicism, whatever it might be that they got into. They were taught upside down. They took it and they couldn't understand it and they threw it behind them. It's not for me, And it happened to some brothers, and you come back to it, when you brought in the right way. A man of the Lord taught you, you were taught by someone who's learned, and then ultimately you understood it, you know what I'm saying? Because that happens too. But still, most people, they forsake this book and they throw it behind them forever. All right. So, real quick, I think I just got another scripture and then pretty much point, the point has been made. I don't know which one I want to give first. Yeah, real quick, I'm just going to go here. 2 Corinthians chapter 3. Matter of fact, I'm going to start here, Romans chapter 11 and 7. That'd be it. This is Romans chapter 11 and 7. It says, what then? Israel hath not obtained that which he seeketh for. All right, so what then? It's a question. It says, Israel have not obtained that which he seeketh for. Israel speaking here is talking about the whole nation of Israelites. You so-called black, so-called Latinos, and so-called Native American Indian people. All right, Israel have not obtained that which he seeketh for. Because Israel has high mindsets, naturally. We're supposed to be a nation put above on high, but that isn't our exact case, but our mindsets are high. So Israelites of the world, they want to be LeBrons, they want to be Michael Jordans, they want to play in NFL, NBA, whatever league it might be. They want to be the entertainers, they want to be the Jay-Z's, boxers, Mike Tyson's, that lavish lifestyle. They want to live in Esau's neighborhoods. They want to drive the nicest cars. They want to have all these things. They want to go out to the nicest restaurants, eat, take it all in, enjoy the finest catering and hotels and whatever. It says Israel have not attained that which he seeketh for, because ultimately all of those things are failures, even if you obtain to all those things, because ultimately they don't come with life. You're going to die at one point. When you as an Israelite, you're supposed to maintain everlasting life. You see, all that stuff is going to come to naught one day. And usually it's never fulfilling. That's why you see all these actors and movie stars and celebrities to go crazy, because they get it all and then they realize that it is empty, because that spirit that's within you, you got an Israelite spirit, and you truly know deep within is something more that you're missing. And it's ultimately probably because you didn't run into this. And if you did, it was a barrier wall. You couldn't understand it. It came to you like this. You like, what is this? It was never opened up to you. You never got to decode, what was in front of you. So again, what then? Israel have not obtained that which he seeketh for. It says, but the election hath obtained it. The election being the elect men, starting with the elect men of the Israelite nation, the house of David. That's who obtained it. Why? Because when they read the code, they was able to see through it. They obtained, oh, wow, that's not just letters. Oh, damn, we got this coming. We got a kingdom coming. Many mansions, stacking up. Okay, I got to stack my treasure up in the heavens, because it's going to be coming down. You see, all of these things are unlocked to the elect. You know what I'm saying? All of these things are unlocked to the elect. And they're able to go on and teach their women. They're going on to, raise their children up to be prepared for what's to come. You see, that's why the election has obtained it. The election obtained it. And it says the rest were blinded. Right back to it. The rest were blinded. They like, what's going on? You know, we sitting there like, oh, you might see brothers out on the highways looking up at the sky. We seeing chariots. You know, imagine what it looked from the outside in. They like, what are these brothers seeing? We obtained. We see. You know, it's just that clear to us. Everything's clear. You know, we actually able to see through this world and see all of the roadblocks and all of the death and all of the stuff that comes with it. And we're able to, you know, be cool because we know the reality of it. We're able to see through it. We're able to read the code. You know, like I said, we're able to see Esau going to slavery. That's what I'm looking at right now. I don't see no damn green screen. I see Esau going to slavery. I see these other heathen nations being put in their place. You know, I see the kingdom. I see with the brothers, you know, turned up, you know, zealed up, you know, got the glow, got the aura, you know, got their light shining, you know, everything that is meant to come to us, rulership, leadership, kingship, everything that's far-fetched to the world right now, the elect have attained it. They see it and they're preparing and they're working in the faith, you know, staying faithful and doing these lessons, hitting the highways. You see? That's what this is for. It's for to seal the elect, bring the elect back to the Lord, you know, and getting what we need to be getting. So what? Then Israel have not attained that which he's seeking for. The 2/3, the rest of the world, they're not going to obtain this. They're not going to attain anything. But the election hath obtained it. The election hath obtained it. The elect. And the rest were blinded. All right, so I'm going to just say, Lord willing. In fact, let's get back to this. Get back to the graphic. So I'm going to say, Lord willing. Again, this was edifying. But I'm going to close out. Just say, Shalom.